Hello guys, welcome to Fandom UK. My name is Gaz. How are you doing? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. So we're here today to talk about UK clubs in Europe. Champions League. And Chelsea were defeated at home, which was a shock result, guys. Um, which I think obviously you guys that are Chelsea fans will be pretty surprised because Chelsea had a pretty convincing win against Wolves at the weekend. So to get a home tie against Valencia and lose it was a bit of a shock. And also the fact that Valencia had a lot of their own issues going into the game. Apparently, Valencia players and staff refusing to talk to press at the weekend with regards to their game. So maybe the pressure was off them a bit more, and that's why they managed to get a good result for themselves in that tie. There was a slight issue in that game. Apparently, Chelsea players arguing over who took the penalty. They did get a penalty in that game, and there was a bit of controversy around that. Players arguing about who should take it, and Frank Lampard did come out after the game and say that Ross Barkley was the official penalty taker for Chelsea. But some of the other players thought otherwise, and it caused a few problems on the pitch with regards to the players, as I say, arguing about who took the penalty or at least disputing it. And Ross Barkley went and missed it, which was possibly because of the fact that other players were distracting him with who should take the penalty. Big debate about that, guys, whether there should be a designated penalty taker or whether it should be rotated or whatever. Let me know what you guys think. Me personally, I'm quite agreeing, really. It should be, at least, even if it is going to be rotated, it should be decided before a game starts. If there is a penalty, who's going to take it? That way we don't see this kind of problem on the pitch, because for the fans, it's not good, is it? It's not good to see players arguing about who's taking penalties. And when we do see it, it's quite a common pattern where players miss penalties when it's disputed who takes it. Maybe it's because the players feel under pressure once the dispute is there with regards to who takes it. Excuse me, guys. That game controversially with regards to the penalty, but unfortunately Chelsea didn't get that penalty scored, and they lose the game, which was a bit of a shock result, as I say. Next, we move on to Tottenham, who threw away a 2-0 lead. They were leading 2-0 in that game against Olympiacos, and Olympiacos managed to pull it back to 2-2. Tottenham fans, what do you think about that? Do you think that Tottenham let their foot off the gas? Did they not get the rub of the green? Let me know what you think in the comments. I was pretty shocked, actually, because I did see the highlights of that game, and I was pretty shocked that Tottenham got a 2-0 lead and threw it away, really, because they were comfortable up until just before half time, and then Olympiacos obviously got one back. Two penalties in that game, one for Tottenham and one for Olympiacos, which brings me to the question, are penalties given soft in the Champions League? Because some of the penalties that were given in that game, and there was one in the Liverpool game also, which we'll get to in a minute, but some of the penalties we see given in Europe do seem to be a bit soft, in my opinion, guys. I don't think some of these penalties would be given in the domestic games in England or Scotland. And there is a dispute about mentioning the quote manly. For me, manly is a great term. Why are we not allowed to say that players should be manly when they step out on that pitch? You know, players are human beings, and me personally, I respect that and I acknowledge that. But, and there is a big but to this, guys, and I'd love to know what you guys think. When they take to that field, They represent the badge, they represent the shirt, and they represent in thousands of fans, as well as the club. And they're in a privileged position. So, I'm not inconsiderate to not acknowledge that they're human beings. They make mistakes. We all make mistakes in life, but they are in a privileged position. So, why are we not allowed to say, when you step out on that pitch, be manly? It's not derogatory. It's not discriminatory. Some people are saying it's old-fashioned thinking. Me personally, I don't think it is old-fashioned thinking. I think it's a quote to basically encourage players when they go out on that pitch to step up to the plate and give everything for the badge, everything for the shirt, and everything for the fans. And if they can't handle that, they shouldn't be in that privileged position. As much as fans, excuse me, and obviously the whole football fan community and the football community as a whole have to acknowledge that that players are human beings. They make mistakes. We accept that. Well, I certainly accept that, and I'm sure a lot of you guys accept that as well. But it has to be both ways, in my opinion, guys. Players have to recognise that, yeah, we acknowledge they're human beings and they can make mistakes, but we expect when they walk on that pitch to play manly, because football, obviously we've got the ladies starting to play football, which is fantastic, and I'm all for that. But in the men's game, why are we not allowed to use the terminology being manly? When you walk on that pitch, you should be prepared to put your body on the line. That is what it's saying. When you say the term manly, it's saying put your body on the line, give everything for the shirt, everything for the club, everything for the badge, and everything for the fans. Because, players are in a privileged position, and if we're to acknowledge that they're human beings and that they make mistakes, they have to acknowledge that when they walk on that pitch, they are expected to give everything for the shirt. They are in a privileged position, and players have to respect that. They have to acknowledge that. So, yeah, guys, that is obviously something we can discuss at a later date, but I'd love to know what you guys think of that, because I have heard it disputed in recent weeks with regards to a number of incidents involving all leagues. In League One especially, the terminology has come up, but yeah, I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, we move on to the rest of the games. Manchester City got a comfortable win in Donetsk, winning 3-0. I did watch quite a bit of that game, and Donetsk basically just couldn't handle Man City. Man City 2-0 up before half time, and they got a good result in Donetsk. 3-0, obviously, away from home against any team in Europe is a fantastic result. And maybe it was also a little bit of Man City, a little bit of Man City's frustration and anger at losing to Norwich at the weekend, which for me, guys, was fantastic to see that Manchester City can be beaten. And I have nothing against Manchester City. I love to see Manchester City play when they do play. They're a great team to watch. But I like competitive games. I don't want to see one club always winning, always getting the trophies. And last season, apart from obviously in Europe, Manchester City were dominant in the domestic game in England. They won everything. They won the League Cup, the FA Cup, and they won the Premier League. Which is fantastic for Manchester City fans, and I'm happy for you guys. But we don't want to see that every season. Man City fans probably do, but as a football fan, I certainly do not want to see the same team winning everything every season, because it's just going to make it boring, predictable. And what about, when you've got so many other clubs in the game, you cannot have one team winning everything. It's not right. So hopefully this season, Man City will win something. But let's hope it's something in Europe and not dominating the domestic game in England, which would be fantastic to see them win something in Europe, because obviously that's the aim that they've got as a club. So it'd be great to see them achieve that. But I don't want to see Manchester City dominate the English league completely a season in, season out. I want to see it competitive. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking. Obviously, Man City fans are not going to agree with me. I respect that. You want to see your team win everything every season. That's fine. You're City fans. I get it. But for the rest of the division and for every other club, it's not great. It's not great to just see Manchester City winning everything. But yeah, congratulations, as I say, to Man City getting such a comfortable win, and it's great to see them go away from home and get a 3-0 win in Donetsk. Now we move on to Liverpool. Liverpool got defeated in Italy against Napoli, a 2-0 defeat, which was not fantastic for Liverpool. There is some controversy around this game, guys. For me, personally, I'm going to go to the penalty first. Nepal was awarded a penalty, which for me was disgusting. And the reason it was disgusting is because I think it was a cheap penalty. I'd love to know what you guys think, but for me, it was a cheap penalty involving Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson put a tackle in, but I don't think it was a strong tackle. I don't think it was a tackle that was aggressive to the point where it was a penalty. And I think the Nepal player made the most of it. And I don't think it was just that incident in the game where the Nepal player made the most of it. I think Nepal players were falling over all over the pitch at every opportunity. There was one incident where I saw a Nepal player come together with a Liverpool player in a tackle, and literally he just got his leg brushed, went down like a sack of potatoes, and basically rolled round on the ground like somebody had punched him in the stomach. And then once the referee awarded a free kick, he got up perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with him. So for me, it was disgusting to see that. I don't want to see that in games. And that begs the question, for me, guys, is UEFA being too soft in respect of awarding penalties in the European competitions? For me, I think they are. I think it's an absolute disgrace that UEFA are allowing players to cheat, basically. You guys might think it's different, and obviously you will do if it goes for your team. But me personally, I don't want to see cheating. I don't want to see players going over so easy. This is a contact sport, so there is going to be contact, and that needs to be accounted for, and that needs to be accounted for by the authorities running the game, whether it's the English FA, Scottish FA or UEFA. It doesn't matter. It needs to be considered that it is a contact game, and that there is going to be contact. And fair enough, if it is a nasty tackle, then a free kick needs to be given, and if necessary, obviously dishing out cards, yellow cards, etc. But we don't want to see it for soft tackles, and that incident the other day, in the Liverpool game was a soft tackle, and I don't think it should have been awarded. But obviously the referee gave it. There was big controversy whether it had actually been given if the referee hadn't taken it. VAR does not make these decisions on its own. VAR is there to assist, so it's not being brought into the game to basically challenge referees, which for me is wrong, because the reason we're bringing VAR into the game is because we can't trust the referees to get all the decisions right. So if we're still I'm not saying to trust technology, because personally myself, I'm a bit disgusted that we need technology because we can't trust referees. But it's not right. It's something that needs obviously more attention in respect of how they use VAR. But that, guys, is a discussion for another day. But finally, before we call it a day, I want to talk about the Andy Robertson tackle, because it was brought to my attention on social media about Liverpool fans basically bombarding Andy Robertson with nasty and aggressive and basically outrageous comments. I'm only quoting this from some of the things I've read on Instagram, and I think it's absolutely disgusting that a small section of Liverpool fans have felt it necessary to give Andy Robertson basically unnecessary grief. Andy Robertson had an absolutely fantastic season for Liverpool last season. And not only that, when you see him play, I've seen him play, he is giving everything for that shirt. So guys, as far as I'm concerned, this channel is for you guys. It's for fans, and I want to represent you guys as best possible. But if there is a handful of fans that are behaving without regard and consideration for players that are giving everything, then we need to call them out. And I know it's not all Liverpool fans. It's only a handful of Liverpool fans, but it's not necessary. It's just not necessary. And if you witness this on social media, call these people out, because they're not real football fans. And the reason I say that, guys, is because when we see this sort of derogatory attitude coming from a small minority of fans, it gives all football fans a bad name, and it's not right. I've seen comments on Instagram of people basically tidying all Liverpool fans with the same brush, and that is out of order. Because, yeah, there was a few Liverpool fans that spoke out a turn, but you cannot blame every Liverpool fan just because a handful of fans was bang out of order. And there's no other way to describe it, guys. They were bang out of order. So, yeah, guys, if you're aware of it and you see it and you witness it on Instagram, call them out, because we as fans love football and we want to see our players giving everything for the shirt. And if this kind of thing happens on a regular basis, they're going to feel it's going to affect their game. And we've seen it last season in a couple of incidents and seasons gone by as well, where players getting unnecessary grief off fans for just making simple mistakes in a game that we can all do in our life. If you think you do your job perfectly, then you're deluded. Because I know I do my job, and I know I sometimes make mistakes. So it's not necessary, guys, for fans to do this. And it's got to stop, because, as I say, Andy Robertson has given absolutely everything. He's been committed. He loves Liverpool. He's shown he loves Liverpool, and he's shown he will run through a brick wall if it's necessary to help Liverpool get results. So, yeah, guys, unfortunately, we have to finish on that negative note, but it needs to be talked about and it needs to be said. But hopefully you've enjoyed the show. Hopefully you'll join me on the next one, and I hope we will get some positive results in the next round of the Champions League. We do have some positive results, obviously, this week, but unfortunately only one UK club getting a win, and that was Manchester City. So let's hope, fingers crossed, in the next round of games in the Champions League group stages, English clubs will do a lot better and improve. Thank you very much for joining me, guys. Hopefully you'll join me on the next one. Take care for now, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.